Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 130 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, the podcast. And today we're going to review X-Men Gold, issue 30, Till Death Do Us part 6. This would be volume 2 of X-Men Gold, or the 2017 volume. But originally, the X-Men Gold was just a celebration issue. That was just a one-shot, but you reuse a title, you reuse a title. So let's get to it. So this issue came out in August 2018. The writer was Mark Guggenheim, who I love the X-Men Gold run. I mean, there's some questionable takes on it, but I stand by most of the issues. Artist David Marquez, colorist Matthew Wilson, letter VC Corey Pettit. Cover artist is Phil Noto. There's a slew of variant covers. And graphic designers Jay Bowen and Anthony Gambino. Assistant editor Chris Robinson. Editor Darren Shawn. X-Men Group editor Jordan D. White. Editor-in-chief C.B. Sabowski. Chief Creative Officer Joe Quesada. President Dan Buckley. Executive producer Alan Fine. Special thanks to Mark Pachica. And X-Men created by Stanley and Jack Kirby. And this is, of course, the infamous would-be wedding of Kate Pryde and Colossus. There's an inside cover ad for Contest of Champions, which I played for a little bit, but I finally unlocked Kitty Pryde in it, so that felt great. And then just sort of hit a snag on how far I can progress, and I sort of got what I wanted out of it, so I quit playing. X-Men Gold. Genetically gifted with uncanny abilities, mutants are believed to be the next stage of human evolution. While the world hates and fears them, Kitty Pryde has reformed a team of mutant heroes known as the X-Men use their powers for good and spread a positive image of mutant kind. Now, I do have to say, this is a pretty great issue. It's a oversized wedding issue. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here to witness and celebrate the union of Peter Nikovich Rasputin and Catherine Ann Kitty Pryde. After years as X-Men teammates and a short engagement punctuated by threats to mutant kind, Kitty and Piotr are ready to start their life together. The bride, Kitty Pryde, groom, Colossus, best man, Nightcrawler, bridesmaid, Storm, bridesmaid, Prestige. 1407 Gray Malkin Lane, North Salem, New York, 10560. Which I wonder what happens when you send a letter to that address. Does all those letters get forwarded to Marvel? Years ago, we get a image from Uncanny, or a page from Uncanny X-Men 183, but redrawn, so that's always fun. And this is the infamous Colossus breaking up with Kitty scene that will later get Logan to coincidentally get Juggernaut to beat the crap out of Colossus in Uncanny X-Men 183. And he's explaining how he fell in love with Suzazi on Battle World, the original Battle World, and the original Secret Wars. Complicated. And so he's breaking up with Kitty. And he describes Susazi as, unfortunately she doesn't get named here, nor is there an editor's note to tell us what issue it is, but he describes her as beautiful as the dawn, as gentle as a spring rain. And Kitty thinks to herself, poetry from a man who said he never had the words to express what was in his heart and soul. Yeah, it's just quoted because we're going to reference it in the very next page. And so Colossus he is, different now, and so he no longer loves her as he once did. His commitment's not there. And now they're looking over 1407 Gray Malkin Lane, North Salem, New York, 10560 now. And Piotr and Kitty are staring at the wedding guests as they come in and they're setting up. Imperator is feeling this no, nostalgia for the past and how far they've come. And he's like all dwarfed by the miracle of meeting you. In comparison to going to outer space, other times, other dimensions, traveling to the realm of gods, fighting gods. And she thinks, poetry from a man who said he never had the words to express what was in his heart and soul. Where it's like, oh. And she says, come on. And we go to Harry's hideaway, which is closed for a private event. And they're the rehearsal dinner, and there's so many people here. Gambit or Rogue are here, which is fun that those are the first characters you recognize. Um, Present day Beast is there. Cable's there. Deadpool's there. Strong Guy's there. Who else am I seeing? Quentin Quire. There's a Cyclops, and I say that because then we get a panel of adult Jean talking to teen Jean with poor Rachel in the middle. And she's like, I don't think you're old enough to drink, Jean. If you're gonna mom anyone, shouldn't you be momming Rachel, Jean? And it's like, yikes. So X-Men Red is clearly a thing here, and Rachel's embarrassing, face palming herself. Oh, how I really love for the break world invade right about now. Julie's talking to Nightcrawler, and she's talking about how she's been devampirized, or devamped. And he says, Job, but Jubilee, don't you miss the fangs by just a teeny bit. Pietro shows Storm a painting he did of Kitty and himself that's going to be waiting in their honeymoon suite tomorrow night, which is like, alright, buddy. Rogue and Gambit are flirting as he's having romantic thoughts, and she teases him that he's really having thoughts of honeymoons. And we can follow their adventures and see the Rogue and Gambit miniseries that just came out. Then we get to one of my favorite pages, which is Lockheed telling Kitty that he has a +1. And she's like, so glad, like, Lockheed, so glad you could have made it. It wouldn't be right to get married without you. Because he hasn't been in the series at all. Nowhere has he even been referenced until finally. What do you mean a +1? You're kidding? You got a dragon family? As we see Lockheed with his cute little paws in his hands. And then we see Puff waving, and then we see two cute little baby dragons, which I just always assume now that if we don't see Lockheed for an extended period of time, he's either in a lighthouse or he's with Puff and his baby dragons. One's orange and one's pink, and Puff is green, so they're the colors of the rainbow, which is adorable. I do like how he just speaks his native tongue and Kitty understands it, and they just, talk like that, because, that's how we do things. Then I'm gonna use 3 images from this comic on Instagram and Twitter on the blog's account, which is SNFWM. We get a scene of young and present day Beasts and Icemen? Icemans. And then we see the dragon family flying away, and the Ileana is saying, you look like you haven't had a drink yet. It's still early, and you know how that stuff goes right through me, Ileana. Is that a phasing joke? Maybe. Come on. Ugh. You think of all the Midnight Suns I play, I have a better Ileana impression. Which Laura Bailey does such a great Ileana impression in that game. As your maid of honor, I insist. And so now they're up on the rooftop and they're drinking. You always were a bad influence, Rasputin. Which I guess they're not calling it Rasputina just yet. When does that happen? The Krakoan age, maybe? Bad enough you're getting me drunk. You're also making me neglect my guests. Not for nothing, but you're my best friend, or your best friend's marrying your brother tomorrow. Kinda thought you'd be a little happier. What, are you kidding? Just calling it as I see it. I'm totally happy. And not a great actor. And these are an amazing 3-page sequence here. It's all like at night, so everyone's casting these gorgeous blue hues. Look, if I'm off base here, and I want to be off base here, I'm sorry, but I've known you pretty much your whole life. I can read you. So should I bring up one of the three telepaths downstairs right now, or do you want to tell me what's going on? Because I guess Emma's not there. Nothing, swear. And then Kitty just stares at her. It's not my place. You're my best friend in life, so let's say for a second that it is. I just, I want this to be right for you, my brother. And you don't think it is? Please don't make me say it. I think it's been years off and on between you. And this is funny. In our defense, for most of those years, he was dead and I was trapped in a giant bullet. You know what I mean. I just think if you two were meant to be together, it would have happened by now. I'm sorry, I'm a terrible parent, and an even worse person. You're not. And I've had too much to drink, clearly. Which I had to go back, and she is like, I do like how they're sharing a bottle, so I do like the idea that Ileana might have had a couple of swallows to have this conversation, but she's letting Kitty do all the drinking. Can we pretend this whole conversation never happened? I like that very much. I love you and I'm sorry. It's okay. It's totally okay, but we can already see the doubt in Kitty's face. It's a big day, and so Kurt's helping Piotr with his bow tie. Kurt says that after this wedding, he's going to propose to Rachel, which is like, oh my God, please let anything happen. And I do like how Kurt and Rachel's relationship has been very back burner. Like, I think the only reason it lasted so long is because it's forgotten about. And so it's like, please let anything happen where this marriage does not go forward. And then we see Kitty's getting her makeup done by Stevie Hunter. We get an update that she's still a congresswoman, so that's amazing. Good. And I like how, I just imagine we don't see Stevie on panel, and then she just moving on up in ranks. Like she's probably a senator now. And then we see Teresa, Pride, and Storm are in the room. So it was always nice that Terry Pride made it to the on panel and to the wedding because she often gets forgotten. Like Kitty was always a daddy's girl. And then once Carmen died on Genosha, it just which I forget why he was on Genosha. But he was there and he died. And it doesn't get brought up that much, so. And now that I'm thinking about all the mutants of Genosha have been resurrected, but do they get time for Carmen Pride? Probably not. Um, and Terry's like, I swear, her and her father just drove her home from the hospital yesterday. And Storm's like, funny, I was just thinking the same thing about taking her for ice cream. And so, which of course is a reference to Uncanny X-Men 129. And then Kitty starts getting teary-eyed as she's recognizing that she's in the room with the three women who raised her, three strong, wonderful women, and we get a beautiful group hug. And then Kitty needs Stevie to reapply that mascara. And for time's sake, this comic came out during the Ant-Man and the Wasp marketing campaign. Iceman is opens the limo for Piotr as they drive off, and we see that young man Logan, or present day Logan, is watching from a distance for a reason he's not coming to the wedding. Then we come to the wedding. Rogue and Ileana are chit-chatting. They commenting about how it's perfect weather and storms up in the air, making it happen. Ileana's feeling very guilty about what she said last night. And I recognize that this might be the first conversation Ileana and Rogue has ever had. um, I know they had preteen um, or legacy virus conversations as Rogue commented about it. And famously, I read those issues recently, and Gambit and Ileana do not ever interact nor really talk. Um, and then there'll be infamous in Mr. and Miss. Well, spoilers for I guess for behind the scenes here. Um, or I guess it'd be after this issue, but there's a great moment where Rogue has Ileana look for something, and Ileana doesn't want to go look because there's Spider's back there, and Rogue's like, "You're Ilya Rasputina, the ruler of Limbo. You're not scared of spiders." She's like, "I'm not scared, but they're icky." Where I'm like, "Oh, Ilyana, you're so great." And that happens in Mr. and Mrs. X1, which we'll get to. And Ilyana's feeling stupid and terrible, which is horrible. And Rogue says, "I do, sugar, and I trust Kitty and your friendship." Ugh, I can't do a southern accent. And she's like, "I already tell you already, the water's under the bridge." Yeah, we gotta hope so. Then we see Teen, Scott, and Jean, and how they got married here. And Jean's like, "Actually, it was right over there." And it's like, all right, this is weird. Rogue catches up with Gambit, who's still feeling very romantic. I like Pieter's introducing Rabbi Yarkin to his sister Ilyana and his best man Kurt Ragnar. She confirms that Kurt has the wedding rings, which he bamps away and brings them back, so that's fun. The wedding progression is starting. And then I'm noticing in this panel here of all the wedding guests that there's a little Lockheed floating above someone's head. And I'm like, dang, I did not save this panel, and I gotta do that later. Um, Trying to think of who else here. Quentin Quire's still there. Chamber might be there, the big old scarf around his face. Strong guy. Yeah. And then we get a beautiful splash page of the prides walking down with Beast and Stevie Hunter holding Lockheed and the Orange Child. And then behind Stevie's Danny Moonstar. So she's up front, so that's great. Um, Rabbi Yarkin saying, "Welcome. I'm privileged to welcome Catherine and Piotr into their most sacred of covenants. Their love is very much like their hearts, strong, beautiful, and pure of spirit. It's this love that has sustained them and returned them to one another's arms, even when parted by circumstance, which is Pano, Kitty, and a bullet, or other people." And we see Cesar Z, and then who I thought was the gentleman from X-Men True Friends, but fandom says it's Peter Quill, so maybe. Um, I mean, maybe it's probably him because they're both space lovers. Or even death itself, when you see Colossus dead from the Legacy virus cure. Great issue of Uncanny X-Men 390. We're all humbled in the face of such love and draw near to celebrate its day. I'm pleased to say Mr. Wagner does actually have the rings, and he says it's funny. "Catherine, please place the ring on Pieter's finger and repeat after me. I will love and cherish you for all days," which she says. "Piotr, please place the ring on Catherine's finger and repeat after me. The dawn will never rise on a day where you are not in my heart." And then he says it. So he gets ringed. And then there's an ad for Captain America 1. And then after that is a great splash page of the ring phasing right through Kitty's hand. And he's shocked. Ilyana's shocked. Kurt's shocked. Rogue and Gambit are shocked. And they share a panel. Kitty's in the middle. Also shocked. Present day Beast is shocked. Terry Pride shocked. Um, the rabbi looks like she is just disappointed. And then we get back to Colossus, who's like, "Catch-all. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I don't think I could do this." And then she phases away crying. "Catch-all, hi." And then her veil is left behind, which Pierre tries to lift up. Ilyana has her hands over her mouth, just completely shocked. He does not want to be there no more. And then Kurt bamps them away, leaving the veil behind again. We get the dragon family. Oh man, I don't know if I got this image saved. Um, Ileana's still holding her face. Everyone's still um sad, and Remy saying, did what I think happened just happen, Cher?" Except he didn't say Cher. I said that with Try to get into character. Okay, I just had to check my Google Drive, and I did save this image, so I'm just missing the very faint one. Later, the would-be reception, and people are feeling bad about eating and drinking their food. We see Shatterstar and Domino. Oh, hey, there's Lockheed. Oh, man. I gotta download this picture too. But Stevie Hunter still has Lockheed and another dragon on her shoulders. Beast is talking to young Scott. Um, a redhead in a dress, maybe Siren. Jubilee and Ink are talking. The three telepaths are sad. Um, Rogue and Ilion are talking, and Ilion is feeling super guilty. We get Piotr and Kitty back on the cliff where the issue started off, so that's just good book ending. So they said they're gonna talk it out. She's not sure what's wrong with her, but it just doesn't feel right. And she recognizes that she asked him to marry her after she said no to his proposal. It's just marriage is hard enough with all this stuff. It's just too much history. A lot of it good, yeah, but some of it bad and all of it messy. Not the foundation to build a marriage on, which he's like, love is that foundation. Do you love me, Katja? With all my soul. Then I don't understand. Neither do I. And all I understand, all I know at this moment, I can't do this. Not today, maybe not ever, I don't know. And so, which and they've been good about this is it for um the Katya relationship, and they don't go back to it, and nor should they, because it's done. Gambit is talking to Kurt and Storm, remember it, and Storm saying that marriage is hard, it requires more than love, it requires a need, a hunger. And I like the panel where we see Ilyana Rogue out of focus, and then as Gambit is thinking about something, and then he's like, "You're absolutely right." And then Rogue and Ilyana come into focus. Cloak and Dagger come into free form, which is a pretty good show, though. I'm pretty sure we're middle of season 2, and then I saw the Runaways episode with them, and I like that guest appearance. And Gambit's determined. He finds his way to Rogue, and she's like, "Remy, are you okay?" That all depends on what. And then he gets on one knee and proposes to her. Kitty and Piotr come back and they give their blessing. Rogue can't believe they're doing this, but she couldn't be happier, and she says yes. And so Rabbi Yankin comes back and he's like, "Well, this is certainly one of the most unconventional weddings I've participated in. You said the two of you have vows you'd like to exchange." And with it, she and it's a shame Lucky does not sit with Kitty now. I imagine they just took their seats in the audience. There's an ad here for Life of Captain Marvel. And beautiful. This all being so spontaneous, all that remains for me to say is Mazel Tov. Introduce Anna Marie and Remy LeBeau as husband and wife as they kiss as the issue ends. And then we pretty much get 6 pages of advertisements for Mr. and Mrs. or Mr. and Mrs. X 1, 2, and 3, which are all great the Dotson covers with Terry and Rachel Dotson, and of course a slew of variants, which was fun when this was solicited, as people would just thought it was Mr. and Mrs. X being Kitty and Piotr just having a honeymoon series. But instead, we got a great miniseries by Kelly Thompson and Oscar Palazzolo. And Deadpool interrupts their honeymoon after Kitty sends him on a space mission. And then X-Men Gold 31 out in 2 weeks. The Aftermath. Great Phil Noto cover of Colossus putting his hand through a Kitty Pryde walking away. Cable 158 because we're doing the legacy numbering. Old Man Logan 42. He's fighting Craven. Domino 4 out in 3 weeks, which I wonder if this was the Gail Simone Domino. Then back cover ad is for Marvel Strike Force. Download now. It doesn't even look like there's any, so maybe these are just new games coming out. And the back cover ads for Universal Orlando Resort, now with Marvel stuff. And that, everyone, is X-Men Gold number 30. And then only one comic of note came out last week, which was Apocalypse, or Heir to Apocalypse. Oh, I should get this title. So it's X-Men Heir to Apocalypse. Oh, I'm sorry, Heir of Apocalypse. Issue number 1 came out, and there was an awesome, and Danny Moonstar's in it, and I don't know if she's a co-lead, but it felt like she was. And then we're going around meeting why other characters want to be heirs. And in one of the pages, where Wolverine says yes, but before that, Sync says no, and then we get Ileana for 2 panels. And Ileana says, I just got rid of my throne in Limbo, not in the market for another one anytime soon. And so she passes. So, and I was not expecting to get a Magic appearance last week. So, and then I had a real conversation, like debate with myself about, I was like, self, do you do a Heir of Apocalypse episode where you just breeze through it, or do you do a back issue proper and then do, add it to the end like we do now lately? And that one just felt like what we've been doing. Like, it's not a proper appearance. But worth mentioning, so give a little review. And it was a pretty solid issue. Um, I don't know why half of them, the bulk of them, would even want to be heirs of Apocalypse, but I'm rooting for Armageddon Girl, formerly Nature Girl. And and then I had another comic where I got the variant cover, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to do a variant cover to an issue where it's just Kate Pryde and Lockheed, and it's 2X-Force, and I'm just like, well, I should do something visually with it, because she's not in the issue at all. So I'm like, well, it seems weird. I don't want to review an issue that doesn't have the Shadow, the Flame, nor the Magic in it, which this comic did, and Air had just the Magic, so 1/3. Um, and then this week, which we're recording this on Tuesday, so the only book out is X title is the Blood Hunt Wolverine with Logan, issue 2 of 4, and my hopes are not high for it. So we're probably gonna do another back issue after this then. So look forward to that. Oh, and big news today for the Nintendo Direct. We're getting a Mario and Luigi Brothership title, which people are saying is an RPG, and some are saying it's 2 players. Some are just saying 1 player. It might be a 2 player. You can drop in and out of. So I'm excited about that. But what I'm really excited about is the 7-game Marvel vs. Capcom fighting collection that has X-Men Battle of the Children, or Battle of the Atom. I was thinking about Children of the Atom. Um, Capcom, or Marvel superheroes, then X-Men versus Street Fighter, Marvel versus Street Fighter, Marvel versus Capcom 2, and then as a bonus game, the Punisher side-scrolling game, which is a real shame that they didn't do the X-Men Apocalypse, Mutant Apocalypse. Man, I butchered that. And then they could have had 8, and then I'm sure they could have made it 2 more games. But we're getting those 7. One day we'll get the Konami X-Men arcade game and the other 2 side-scrolling games. But on Father's Day, which I should say, my lovely wife got me Fall of the House of X 5 with does it say which cover? Variant cover by Narihama, I want to say is how it's pronounced. And then I got my Kitty Pride shirt, but in an extra large, so it fits now, which is very sweet of her. Um, I don't know why I brought that. But then before we started watching the Knuckles TV series, which I thought was pretty good, episode 4 has a rock opera that I think is super worth watching. YouTube apparently has not felt the need to be like, here's those 8 minutes, but for your viewing pleasure. So I don't know, Knuckles is not being seen, but and it's a lot of Adam Pally, who was the other sheriff in that show, and also from Happy Endings. It's a lot of him, which I imagine is production limitations, but Idris Alba is an executive producer of the show as well as the voice of Knuckles, so he clearly must have been like fine with being very lack of Knuckles in it. But anyways, episode 4, give it a watch. So yeah, that's everything. You can follow the podcast or the blog at Shadow and Flame of Magic, the podcast or the blog, where I just did a whole write up on the Marvel vs. Capcom game, and I wrote all the roster people on there. So you want to see. I'm excited about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I might play that very first and recreate Marrow, Gambit, and Storm as my trio, so that I could recreate my love for the X-Men 35th anniversary era of the X-Men comics. And then I'm probably going to try to just be Cyclops during all the other games where I possibly can be. Um, Wolverine, of course, is the game. If you wanted just to play as one character in all the games, Wolverine's that character for you. And and maybe this is all leading up to Marvel vs. Capcom 4, which I do own Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which I downloaded, and hopefully I can play again. I did get all the easy trophies, so maybe I'll at least just play for an hour and just get my butt kicked by so many people as I work towards the 50 hours of offline time or 50 hours of online time, but I'm never getting either of those trophies, so that's okay. You can follow me on Twitter and YouTube at Jacko SII. YouTube, I'm trying to make my way through Midnight Suns. Magneto's coming out soon on Fortnite. My plan is to make a video for each way to accomplish, the quest to unlock Magneto. I know for sure I want to play a Scarlet Witch for the bulk of it, but I might throw in. Like right now, I'm randomizing it through all my mutants, including Leonardo, and so I might just let it ride. But I want to start the quest as Scarlet Witch and see where we go from there. Um, because all X-Men characters have a connection to Magneto one way or the other. Um. It'd be awesome if Magic came to Fortnite. Like she has the perfect pickaxe already. Um, and of course, Cape Pride would be a dream to come. And Magneto's the secret skin of the season, or the bonus skin. And usually they do a partner to the skin in the item shop. So I'm wondering who that could possibly be. Or they're just not going to do that at all. So, it's hard to tell each season. And it's the Fallout season, so I'm assuming at one point they're going to do a vault drawer for the item shop that's super customizable with like numbers you can choose. But you won't have to resist buying that. And Walker's going to want it too, but I mean, it's the lean summer, so I don't know if we're going to get it. But also, it will come back during the better times, so. And I'm still waiting for the Ninja Turtle gear bundle to come to the store, which, I've been regretting not just playing last season and just getting it all for 1,000 V-Bucks, but, I still regret not playing as getting Laura Croft that's one season. I easily could have had Superman as well, so, just regrets. But in Fortnite's the whole game based on the model of FOMO and regrets. So, um, but so all my stuff, I think so. Well, thank you everyone for listening. If you ask a friend to listen and subscribe, we really appreciate it as we try to make the podcast grow. And I'll talk at you in the future. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Bye.